The void stretched endlessly, cold and silent. A sea of darkness without stars, without sound, without life. The Zynar patrol ship Krellon 7 drifted through it, engines humming softly, scanning the emptiness to most of the crew. This part of the galaxy was known as the Empty Sector, a dead zone where nothing ever moved. Commander Reth Valon stood at the observation deck, his 4 black eyes fixed on the flickering holo display. The scanners had shown a pulse. Faint, brief but real. He frowned, rubbing the edge of his chin. "Run the scan again," he ordered. The technician nodded and activated the sensors once more. A thin hum filled the air as the scanners reached across millions of kilometers, searching for something, anything. The results came back. Flat and dull. No life forms. No ships, no stations, just vacuum and silence. Reth exhaled, annoyed. "It must have been a ghost signal," he said, turning away, but before he could step off the deck, another sound pierced the silence, a sharp electronic tone. "Commander," the technician shouted. "The signal's back." Reth turned sharply, his tendrils tensed. "Show me," he ordered. The holo display zoomed in, magnifying the data feed. There it was, a pulse, rhythmic, steady, like a heartbeat echoing through the dark. It came from coordinates long marked as forbidden. Sector 9 Delta, the ruins of an old Terran battlefield. "That's impossible," Reth whispered. "Humans are extinct." The bridge grew tense. Everyone had heard the stories. The Terran Wars, the fall of Earth, the human exodus that ended in silence. The Zynar Empire had risen after humanity's disappearance, building its power across the stars. Humanity had become a myth, a warning told to alien children about the monsters that once burned worlds to ash. Could it be a remnant beacon? Asked the navigator. "Maybe an old satellite still running?" Reth shook his head slowly. "No machine runs that long," he said. "Not in the void." The technician frowned. "Sir, it's not just a beacon," she said quietly. "The signal's evolving." The crew turned. "Evolving?" Reth asked. "Yes, sir," she replied. "It's changing frequency patterns. It's responding to our scans." The silence that followed was heavy. Reth felt a chill crawl down his spine. It was as if the darkness was looking back at them. "Shut off the active scans," he ordered, "now." The lights dimmed as the system powered down. The only sound was the low hum of life support. Minutes passed. Then, through the void, a whisper reached their communication array. A faint transmission. Static-filled and ancient, it spoke in a language none of them recognized. But the translation AI struggled, letters forming slowly on the screen. "Intruders detected Earth protocol." Omega, Reth's blood ran cold. He had studied enough history to know that phrase. It was a human defense command, one reserved for planetary emergencies. He whispered the words under his breath. "Earth Protocol Omega." The crew exchanged terrified glances. "Is it a warning?" the navigator asked, "or a threat?" "Both," Reth replied quietly. He turned back to the screen, staring at the dark coordinates. "Prepare the long-range probe," he ordered. "I want visuals." The technicians hesitated. "Sir, if this really is human technology—" "Do it," Reth snapped. "We need to see what's out there." The probe launched into the void, a small spark of light swallowed by darkness. On the monitors, static danced, flickering between shadows for a long time. There was nothing, just noise. Then suddenly, the image cleared. The crew gasped. Floating in the dark was something enormous, a shape like a sleeping beast, half covered in dust and frozen debris. The hull was ancient metal, scorched and torn, but still intact across its bow. Faint letters glowed. HSS Vengeance. Reth's heart pounded. "That's a Terran warship," he whispered. The technician stammered. "But sir, humanity never built ships that size." Reth nodded slowly. "Not before they vanished." The image zoomed closer, revealing the vessel's surface. Massive cannons, reinforced armor, and faint blue energy running through hidden circuits. "It's awake," someone murmured before anyone could react. The ship moved just slightly, a slow, deliberate rotation, dust scattered like cosmic mist. A soft energy pulse rippled outward, disrupting the probe feed. The monitors flickered, then went black. "Signal lost," the technician said, voice trembling. "It jammed us." Reth clenched his fists. "Retreat course now." He barked. The engines flared, pulling the patrol ship away from the coordinates. But the radar suddenly filled with movement. A shadow stretched across the void. larger than their entire fleet. The HSS Vengeance had turned toward them, and the faint glow of its engines burned like the eyes of a sleeping god. Then the transmission returned, louder this time, echoing through every speaker. "This sector is under Terran protection." The crew froze. No one dared breathe. "It can't be," whispered Wrath. "They're gone." "They've been gone for centuries," the AI voice continued. "Leave now or face retribution." And then, silence. The scanners went dead. The lights flickered and every ship system rebooted. The only message left on the screen were 3 simple words written in glowing red. "Humanity awaits return." The commander stood there, shaking, staring into the dark void where legends had come alive. He turned to his crew and whispered, "We searched the void twice, but they were already here." The Zynar fleet headquarters on planet Velix buzzed with confusion. Alarms echoed through the silver halls as officers rushed between glowing consoles, trying to confirm what Commander Reth Valen had reported. No one wanted to believe it, but the data didn't lie. A human warship, alive, moving, and answering signals, had appeared in the empty sector. High Admiral Kor Zal sat at the head of the command chamber, his scaled fingers tapping the table. "Run the scans again," he ordered coldly. "The humans are myths, not ghosts waiting in the dark." His advisors exchanged nervous looks. "Sir," one said quietly, "the recordings from Krellin 7 are authentic. Their ship detected a real energy signature." "Not a glitch," Kor hissed in disbelief. "Then find it again," he barked. "No human vessel can hide from the Dominion." He leaned back, his sharp eyes narrowing. "Send the nearest patrol fleet. I want confirmation before this rumor spreads." Far out in the void, 10 Zynar cruisers warped into Sector 9 Delta. They formed a wide circle, scanning the emptiness with every tool they had. The void answered back with silence. Then came the pulse again, a slow, deep rhythm that felt alive like a heartbeat. Each time the pulse struck their sensors, the ship's lights flickered. "Energy spike," shouted one pilot. "It's affecting our systems." The signal wasn't random. It was deliberate, pulsing faster as if aware of their presence. "It's responding to us," whispered the sensor officer. "Like it knows we're watching." On the flagship Zynar Glory, Captain Varn Drax watched the readings with unease. He had fought pirates, rebellions, even rogue AI fleets, but nothing like this. "Try to communicate," he ordered. "Send a message in standard Galactic." A transmission burst through the comms. Static, crackling like thunder. For a moment, nothing came through. Then a voice spoke, clear, calm, and human. "You shouldn't have come here." Every officer froze. The voice was deep, mechanical, but unmistakably human. Varn's throat went dry. "Identify yourself," he demanded. "This is Zynar Command Authority." "State your origin." Silence followed. Then the voice returned. "Origin Earth Defense Command. Vessel HSS Vengeance, status dormant. Now reactivated." Gasps filled the bridge. "Earth Defense Command?" the communications officer muttered. "That organization ended centuries ago." Varn's hands trembled. "Impossible," he whispered. "How could they survive this long?" Before anyone could answer, the ship's radar screamed. "Something's moving behind us," shouted a technician. The crew turned to the display, where a dark shape appeared, massive and invisible to most sensors. It drifted slowly between the Zynar fleet, blocking the starlight. "It's here," someone breathed. The Vengeance was no longer hiding, it was watching. "Studying, waiting, arm weapons," Varn ordered, voice shaking slightly. "If it attacks, we'll respond." His gun crews powered up plasma cannons, aiming into the void, but the human ship didn't fire. Instead, its engines pulsed once, sending out a silent shockwave. Every Zynar ship system flickered, the power grid faltering for seconds. "Shields down," cried the engineer. "Weapons offline." The alien ships drifted helplessly, their mighty war machines reduced to silence by one pulse. Varn stared at the motionless behemoth on the screen, its hull glowing faintly with blue energy veins. "We are not your enemy," the voice said again. "Leave this place. Why are you here?" Varn shouted, trying to sound brave. "Humanity is gone. The war is over. What do you want?" "Correction," the voice replied coldly. "The war is not over. You are standing in human territory." The transmission cut off. The Vengeance vanished from their scanners, leaving behind a ripple of distorted space. The Zynar ship slowly regained control one by one. "What was that?" gasped the helmsman. "Some kind of cloaking field?" Varn shook his head. "Not cloaking. Something far more advanced? He turned toward the communications officer. Send word to the Dominion. Tell them humanity isn't extinct. The message spread like wildfire. Across star systems, the words human ship detected flashed across military networks. Entire fleets went on alert. The Galactic Council convened in panic, debates echoing through the grand halls of the core world's humans. Asked one counselor. That's impossible. Another shook his head. If it's true, then everything changes, the balance of power, the treaties, everything. The Zynar ambassador slammed his claws on the table. They're back, he shouted. We must destroy them before they rise again. But the Varan diplomat, an old reptilian scholar, whispered softly, you can't destroy ghosts that never died. Back in the dark sector, the Vengeance moved silently through space. Its internal lights glowed faintly as systems reactivated one by one. Inside, long sleeping chambers filled with mist. Cryopods hissed open, revealing pale human figures breathing for the first time in centuries. A voice echoed inside the ship, calm and commanding. Crew revival in progress. Captain Mira Hayes, vital signs stable. A woman opened her eyes. Her breath fogged the cold air. Her gaze was sharp and filled with purpose. Status report, she whispered. Mission parameters intact, the AI replied. Intruders detected in human sector, authorization requested. Mira smiled faintly. Her voice was quiet but carried the weight of history. Authorization granted, she said. Let them know we're awake. Outside, the stars burned a little brighter. The galaxy didn't yet know it, but humanity had returned. And this time, they weren't hiding. The galactic networks exploded with rumors. Every channel repeated the same message. A human warship has been found alive. Some believed it was fake. Some said it was a trap. But the Zynar Dominion knew the truth. Commander Reth Valen's report had spread. And now every major empire was watching Sector 9 Delta. The Dominion's high command gathered in the war chamber. Massive screens showed static-filled footage from the lost probe. A shadowed object floating in the dark. A glimpse of a name burned into metal. HSS Vengeance, the admirals argued. If it's real, it's a relic, one said. We can capture it and study it, another shouted. You can't capture something that destroyed 10 ships with one pulse. High Admiral Korzal silenced them with a wave of his hand. Enough, he hissed. We'll confirm this ourselves. Prepare the Dreadnought fleet moments later. Across the stars, the Zynar fleet mobilized. 40 warships warped into the dark, engines blazing through the emptiness, each one armed with plasma lances and anti-stealth sensors. The space around them shimmered with cold energy. At the center of the fleet, Captain Varn Drax stood on the bridge of the flagship Zynar Glory. His crew moved quickly, checking every system. Activate high-frequency scan, he ordered. Find it. The scanners pulsed out through the dark waves of energy searching for a target. The display filled with static again, nothing but void. No readings. Captain, said the sensor officer. Varn frowned. Increase sensitivity, I want everything. Even dust particles. Then the ship's lights dimmed slightly. A low hum filled the air. The radar blinked once, then again. A faint outline began to form on the holo display. A massive structure. Invisible but casting a gravitational shadow. The crew stared as the image sharpened. The object was enormous, at least 10 times the size of their largest dreadnought. The hull was dark, almost black, with strange geometric scars glowing faint blue. Is that a city? Someone asked in disbelief. No, Varn said quietly. That's a ship. The Zynar fleet stopped moving, their formation holding steady as every ship's sensors locked on the shadow. Then the Vengeance decloaked for a brief moment. The stars vanished behind its colossal form. Its metal hull shone faintly, scarred by time and battle. Yet its design looked advanced, beyond anything the current galaxy had seen. Lines of energy traced across its armor like veins of living light. Gasps filled the bridge. It's awake, whispered the engineer. Varn couldn't look away. Transmit to High Command, he said. We've found it. And it's alive. Before they could send the report, the comms unit crackled. A voice echoed through every ship at once, deep and calm. Identify yourselves, Varn swallowed hard. This is Captain Varn Drax of the Zynar Dominion fleet, he said, trying to sound firm. You are trespassing in controlled space. State your intentions. There was silence for a few seconds. Then the voice returned. Controlled space? It said coldly. This is human territory. The Zynar crew froze. Human territory? the communications officer repeated. Varn stepped closer to the screen. Humanity is gone, he said. You have no claim here, the voice responded without emotion. Incorrect. Humanity does not vanish. Humanity endures. A soft vibration filled the air as the Vengeance powered up. Lights flared across its hull like waking stars. The Zynar ships backed away instinctively. Captain, power readings rising fast, shouted the engineer. It's charging something. Varn raised his hand. Hold position, I want to see what it does. A blinding blue pulse erupted from the Human Warship. Expanding outward like a ripple through water, every alien ship's systems went dark. Lights flickered, weapons powered down, engines froze. What happened? Cried the navigator. They shut us down! Varn's voice was steady but trembling. They didn't attack, they just disabled us. Then, through the darkness, another transmission arrived clearer than before. The Sol defense network remains operational. Unauthorized vessels will be escorted out. Escorted? Varn repeated, confused. There's only one ship here. As if answering him, the Vengeance released a smaller fleet from its lower hangars. Sleek. Black drones shaped like arrows. They moved in perfect silence, hundreds of them, surrounding the Zynar ships. By the stars, whispered a crew member. They're unmanned. Pure AI constructs, the human voice spoke again. You were warned, return to your worlds, Varn hesitated. This can't be real, he muttered. They've been gone for centuries. Suddenly, his second officer turned pale. Captain, look, she said softly. The screen zoomed on the side of the Vengeance, and through the observation bay window, a faint figure could be seen standing behind the glass. A human woman, pale-skinned, short dark hair, wearing a uniform marked with the Terran insignia. She's alive, the officer whispered. A human, a real one? Varn stared at her image, the impossible truth sinking in. Send the message, he said finally. Tell High Command. Humanity has returned. The Vengeance turned away slowly, disappearing into the dark once more, leaving only echoes of its power behind, back aboard the ship. Captain Mira Hayes watched the Zynar fleet retreat on her screen. Her voice was calm but cold. They've seen enough, she said. The galaxy knows now. The AI's voice replied, What are your orders, Captain? Mira looked at the stars and whispered, Wake the others, it's time. In the distance. Other dormant stations began to light up, old human beacons flickering back to life after hundreds of years. Across the stars, silence gave way to awakening. The era of humanity's return had begun. The news spread faster than light across the stars. Every network, every transmission, every corner of the galaxy now whispered one thing. Humanity has returned. The Galactic Council held an emergency session in the shining towers of Core Prime. Alien leaders from 100 worlds gathered under the Great Dome, their voices trembling with fear and confusion. The Zynar representative slammed his clawed hand against the table. You saw the footage, he shouted. The human ship disabled an entire fleet without firing a shot. The Varan ambassador hissed softly. Maybe it was an automated defense. Maybe no humans are left. The hall filled with angry murmurs. No one knew the truth, and that made them even more afraid. High above them, a massive hologram flickered to life. It showed the HSS Vengeance still drifting silently in the dark. A new signal pulsed from it, one that every ship and planet could hear. A calm human voice began to speak. This is Captain Mira Hayes of the Earth Defense Command. Transmission code Alpha Prime. The Council fell silent. Every ear listened, every mind froze. For centuries, humanity has watched from the shadows. The voice continued. We left the galactic stage to recover, to rebuild and to prepare, but your empires grew careless. You turned our old worlds into your battlegrounds. You enslaved our colonies. You erased our history. Gasps echoed across the chamber. The Zynar delegate growled. Lies! But no one spoke in support. The evidence was undeniable for decades. Alien empires had stripped old Terran sectors for resources, believing humanity to be extinct. We did not vanish, Mira's voice said. Colder now, we endured, and now we return not for conquest, but for correction. The transmission ended. Leaving only silence, Admiral Corzal rose slowly, his tone shaking with anger. Correction? He snarled. That means war. The council erupted into shouting. Some demanded peace, others screamed for preemptive strikes. Meanwhile, far away in the void, inside the HSS Vengeance, Captain Mira Hayes stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. Blue lights marked ancient human colonies, most now under alien control. Her officers, newly awakened from cryo-sleep, stood at attention. Commander Elias Trent, a tall man with silver-gray eyes, spoke first. "Captain, the Council has received our message. They'll prepare for conflict." Mira nodded slowly. "Let them prepare. They've forgotten who we are." The ship's AI, named ARC-7, pulsed softly on the nearby console. "Would you like to initiate Phase 2, Captain?" it asked. Mira looked at the map, at the dots of light that represented long-lost human outposts. "Not yet," she said. "First, they must remember our voice," ARC-7 hummed quietly. "Incoming transmission detected from Zynar Dominion Command." Mira raised an eyebrow. "Open it." The hologram shifted, showing the face of High Admiral Korzal, his eyes burning with fury. "Human ship," he began. "You are trespassing in Dominion space. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed." Mira's lips curled into a calm, almost amused smile. "Admiral Zal," she said softly, "your fleet is already in my targeting range. Would you like a demonstration?" The alien's scales tightened. "You wouldn't dare," he hissed. Mira turned to her crew. "Fire a warning shot," she said, outside. The Vengeance's main cannon glowed bright blue. For a second, the entire void seemed to breathe. Then a beam of light tore through empty space. Passing dangerously close to the Zynar command ship, the shockwave rattled every vessel, sensors screaming in alarm. The Admiral froze, his mouth opening in disbelief. "That was a warning?" Mira nodded. "Next time it won't miss." The transmission cut. Silence returned to the bridge. Commander Trent stepped closer. "They'll panic now," he said. Mira's expression hardened. "Good," she whispered. "Panic reminds them that fear has a source." Moments later, ARC-7 spoke again. "Captain, multiple signals detected across the old Terran sectors." Mira looked up. "Show me." The map lit up with hundreds of glowing points. One by one, dormant human satellites, hidden AI beacons, and deep space stations began activating. Old Terran emblems flickered to life after centuries of silence. Commander Trent smiled. "They're all responding to the Vengeance's signal." Mira nodded. "It means they heard our call." Across the galaxy, alien ships began to retreat from former human territories. Fearing retaliation, civilian broadcasts filled the air with panic and awe. "The humans are back," they said. "The ghosts of Sol have awakened." In one distant colony world once ruled by humans, alien overseers fled as ancient Terran defense turrets came online. Firing warning shots into the air, the people looked up, seeing holographic banners of Earth's old emblem. A blue sphere wrapped in silver wings back aboard the Vengeance. Mira stood before her crew. "For too long, the galaxy called us extinct," she said, her voice echoing through the chamber. "Now, they will call us something else." Returned. Her officers nodded firmly. The bridge lights dimmed to combat readiness red. Outside, the massive warship began to move, cutting through the void like a blade, heading toward the nearest human colony under alien control. In the deep dark beyond, whispers spread through the stars. The legend of Earth had been reborn. The sleeping race had awakened. And this time, they would not fade into silence again. The Zynar Dominion could no longer hide its fear. Every broadcast, every whisper in the galaxy now spoke one name: the Vengeance. High Admiral Korzal gathered his generals in the dark command hall on Velix Prime. His voice thundered through the chamber. "We cannot allow humans to rise again," he declared. "If we do nothing, their return will shatter every empire in the galaxy." The generals nodded, though unease filled their eyes. "We'll strike first," Zal continued. "Destroy the Vengeance before it gathers allies." Within hours, the Dominion's greatest armada assembled. A storm of metal and firepower, over 2,000 warships strong. They called it Operation Eclipse across the void. The HSS Vengeance floated near a ruined human colony. Scanning the surface below, Captain Mira Hayes stood before the main viewport, watching the planet's burned cities. "This world was ours once," she said softly. "They turned it into a scrapyard." Commander Trent approached. "The Xenar are gathering a massive fleet." "Captain?" Mira didn't look away. "Let them come," she said calmly. "They'll learn what humanity truly built." Moments later, RK-7 spoke. "Multiple warp signatures detected. Dominion fleet approaching from all directions." Mira turned, her eyes sharp and steady. "Red alert. Prepare for engagement." The space around the Vengeance rippled as Zynar ships exited warp. Their cannons glowing, Admiral Zal's voice boomed through the comms. Human vessel, you are surrounded. Surrender and your crew will be spared. Mira chuckled quietly. Spared? She repeated, by those who erased our worlds? She glanced at the tactical display. Arc? Status of the Nova Lance. Fully charged, replied the AI. Target lock ready. Mira smiled faintly. Fire. The Vengeance's core flared to life. A beam of blue-white light erupted from its front cannon, cutting through space like a spear. The first Zynar formation vanished in a flash, 10 ships destroyed in an instant. Shockwaves rippled through the fleet. Impossible! Zal shouted, evasive maneuvers. But the human ship was already moving, faster than their sensors could track. Its engines roared like thunder, bending the void around it. Plasma torpedoes launched, guided by AI precision. Tearing through enemy lines, focus all fire on that ship, screamed a Zynar captain. Hundreds of plasma bolts streaked toward the Vengeance, lighting the darkness. But the warship's shields flared like a burning sun. Each hit dissolved before reaching its hull. On board the Vengeance, the bridge shook slightly. Sparks flickering across the panels, Commander Trent grinned. Their weapons can't even scratch us, Mira nodded. Good, now it's our turn, she raised her hand. Deploy the Valkyries. A deep mechanical rumble echoed through the ship as massive hangar doors opened. From within, sleek human fighter drones shot out, dark, sharp and fast. They moved like living shadows, weaving between the Dominion ships. The Zynar fleet fired wildly, but the drones were too fast. Each one targeted weak points, engines, reactors, command bridges, one by one. Dominion warships exploded in brilliant bursts of light. In his flagship, Admiral Zal slammed his fists. How are they doing this? He shouted. His advisor stammered, Sir, their technology. It's far beyond anything we know, Zal growled. Then we'll overwhelm them. He ordered his ships to close in, forming a ring around the Vengeance. Thousands of cannons fired at once, turning the dark void into a storm of fire for a moment. The massive human ship disappeared behind the explosions. Direct hit, one Zynar shouted, We've got it. But when the light cleared, silence filled the comms. The Vengeance was gone, suddenly. A voice came through every frequency, calm and cold. You should not have come here. Zal's eyes widened. Where is it? He barked. Then his ship trembled violently, sensors flickered, showing the impossible. The Vengeance had moved behind them. Open fire. Zal screamed, but it was too late. A second beam from the Human Warship tore through the Dominion's flagship, splitting it in two. The explosion lit the void like a new star. On the Vengeance, Mira watched quietly. Admiral Zal's ship destroyed, reported Arc 7. Remaining Dominion vessels retreating. Mira took a deep breath. Let them run, they'll carry our message back to the galaxy. Commander Trent looked at her. Message? Mira turned to face him, her eyes burning with quiet fury. That humanity doesn't start wars, she said. We finish them. Outside, the last of the Dominion ships jumped to warp, leaving behind burning wreckage drifting through the stars. The Vengeance stood alone once again, untouched, powerful, and alive. Arc 7's voice broke the silence. Captain, multiple distress signals detected across Dominion space. Civilian channels are panicking. Mira nodded. Good. The fear will spread faster than our ships ever could. She turned back to the stars, her voice calm and certain. Phase 2 begins now, the AI replied. Acknowledged. Activating Sol network relays in all across the galaxy. Old human satellites powered up. Transmitting a single encrypted message. To all surviving Terran descendants, the time has come. Humanity has returned. In far-off colonies and forgotten worlds, buried bunkers opened. Long-dormant ships lifted from the dust. Children of Earth, long scattered and silent, heard the call of home again. And as the Vengeance drifted through the wreckage of the defeated fleet, its engines burning like twin suns, Mira Hayes whispered the words that shook the void. They thought they could destroy us, they forgot. We built the stars they fly through. The galaxy was no longer calm. Every communication line buzzed with fear. Every empire whispered the same name. Humans in the span of days. The destruction of the Dominion's fleet had spread like wildfire across the stars. No one could believe it, no one dared deny it. Humanity, the lost race, the ghosts of Sol, had returned. In the orbit of a dying red star, the HSS Vengeance drifted in silence inside its command bridge. Captain Mira Hayes stood before a giant holographic map. Thousands of red dots blinked across it. Old human colonies. Forgotten outposts, long dead stations one by one. They were coming online again. ARC-7's voice echoed softly through the chamber. Phase 2 completed, Captain. Terranet relays active across 72% of known space. Mira nodded slowly, her gaze hard and proud. Show me their responses. Across the map, blue lights began to appear. Each light represented a signal, a reply from the void. Some came from deep space, others from planets that had been enslaved for centuries. The voices were human, cracked with age but filled with strength. This is Outpost Theta 7, we hear you. Earth, Station Ares 9 reporting, systems reactivated, awaiting command. This is the Ark of Europa. We survived, we are ready to serve. Mira closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. For so long, humanity had been silent, scattered, broken, but now, their children answered the call. We are not extinct, she whispered. We were waiting. Commander Elias Trent smiled. The galaxy won't be ready for what comes next, he said. Mira nodded. That's the point, far away. On the planet Kalian, once a human colony turned Zynar mining world, the ground trembled. Buried beneath the sand lay an ancient Terran fortress, dormant for hundreds of years. Now its engines roared to life. Massive metal towers rose from beneath the surface, cannons turning toward the alien sky. The Zynar overseers fled in terror as the fortress opened fire, reclaiming the world in the name of Earth. Similar scenes unfolded across dozens of planets. On the icy moon of Tarsus, human sleeper ships thawed their crews. On the gas world of Voron, a human AI-controlled factory reactivated, releasing drones that rebuilt its cities. Everywhere humanity awakened from its long slumber. In the halls of the Galactic Council, panic reigned. We must negotiate, shouted one leader. They destroyed an entire fleet. Another roared back, negotiate with ghosts? They're machines now. The room filled with chaos until the holographic form of Captain Mira Hayes appeared in the center. Council of Worlds, she said calmly. You spent centuries using our homeworlds as battlegrounds. You enslaved our people. You erased our names from your histories. Her eyes burned like twin stars. You thought humanity vanished. You were wrong. The room fell silent. Every leader froze. No one dared interrupt her. We did not come for revenge. We came to reclaim what was ours. But if you stand in our way, you will face what the Dominion faced. Her hologram faded, leaving only silence and trembling leaders behind. Meanwhile, the Vengeance led a convoy of reawakened human ships through the void. They moved in perfect formation, massive dreadnoughts, stealth cruisers, and ancient carriers shining with new power. Each ship bore the same insignia, a blue earth encircled by silver wings. Commander Trent looked at the fleet display. We're rebuilding faster than expected, he said. The old AI colonies are already producing reinforcements. Mira smiled faintly. They never stopped working, they just needed a signal to wake. ARC-7's voice chimed in. Captain, we have intercepted multiple transmissions from non-human races. Most express surrender, others request alliance. Mira raised an eyebrow. Alliance, she said quietly. Interesting. Trent nodded. They're afraid. They think if they serve us, we might spare them. Mira turned toward the window, looking at the endless stars. Fear is a powerful teacher, she said softly, but mercy builds peace. She tapped her wrist console, opening a secure channel. Transmit a universal message, she ordered. ARC-7's core glowed brighter. Recording, it said. Mira's voice filled the stars. This is Captain Mira Hayes of the Terran Federation. Humanity has returned to the galaxy. We seek peace, not domination, but we will not kneel again. The era of human silence is over. The message echoed across 1,000 systems, reaching every world that had ever whispered the word Earth. In the days that followed, some alien empires surrendered their colonies willingly. Some fled, others tried to resist and vanished. Those who had once mocked humanity now sent gifts, treaties, and oaths of loyalty. On board the Vengeance, Mira stood at the viewport, watching hundreds of ships warp into formation beside her. A vast human armada now filled the stars. Stretching farther than the eye could see, Commander Trent smiled. It's beautiful, he said quietly. Mira nodded. It's only the beginning, she replied. Humanity sleeps no more. The engines of the Vengeance flared bright as it turned toward the heart of the galaxy. The stars reflected off its hull like fire in the void, and in that moment, every race knew the age of mankind had begun again. The galaxy had changed forever. The stars that once shone cold and distant now glimmered with the light of rebirth. Humanity had returned, and their name alone carried the weight of fear and hope across the cosmos. The HSS Vengeance floated at the center of it all, a symbol of the past and the beginning of a new era. Captain Mira Hayes stood silently on the bridge, gazing at the countless ships surrounding her, human fleets, AI cruisers, reawakened dreadnoughts, and even allied vessels from alien species who had chosen peace over pride. The void was no longer empty. It was alive again. Commander Elias Trent approached her side, his voice calm but filled with awe. "It's hard to believe," he said. "A century ago we were ghosts. Now the galaxy bows to us." Mira smiled faintly. "They don't bow to us, Commander," she said softly. "They bow to what we represent. Resilience." ARK-7's voice broke the silence. "Incoming communication from the Galactic Council." Mira nodded. "Patch it through." The holographic display came to life, revealing alien leaders standing in their grand chamber. Their faces reflected fear, guilt, and respect. The council speaker, a tall being of light and shadow, spoke first. "Captain Hayes, on behalf of all sentient species, we offer a ceasefire and formal recognition of the Terran Federation." Mira's expression remained neutral. "Ceasefire?" she said quietly. "There was never a war. Only your fear." The alien looked down, shame crossing his luminous face. "You have proven your strength," he said. "But what will you do now?" For a moment the bridge was silent. Everyone waited for her answer. Mira's eyes moved to the stars beyond the viewport. "We will rebuild," she said firmly. "We will teach, we will protect. We will remind the galaxy of what humanity truly means." Her words carried through every open channel, translated into 100 languages. Humanity was not born to conquer, but to create. We were not meant to rule the stars, but to share them. The message reached worlds far beyond sight. Children in alien cities looked up at the night sky, whispering the word human with wonder. Back on Earth, long silent, long forgotten, the clouds parted for the first time in centuries. The atmosphere shimmered as massive terraforming satellites activated. Oceans began to heal. Forests regrew, and the old continents glowed again. The blue planet lived once more. The Vengeance's scanners displayed the image of Earth. Mira's eyes softened. "Home," she whispered. Commander Trent smiled. "After all these centuries, we finally came back." ARK-7's tone was calm but warm. "Restoration process at 60%. Planetary life signs stable. The cradle of humanity breathes again." Mira placed a hand over her heart. "Let the galaxy see what we were protecting," she said. Outside, human ships descended toward Earth, deploying reconstruction units and habitats. The old cities of Sol rose from the ruins, New London, Neo-Tokyo, Solus Prime. Humanity was not just surviving. It was thriving. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, alien empires began to send emissaries to Earth, seeking peace, trade, and guidance. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy was united not by fear but by memory. In the great hall of the new Terran Federation, banners of blue and silver waved gently in the artificial breeze. Beneath them stood humans and aliens alike. Working side by side, Commander Trent walked beside Mira. "We did it," he said. "We changed everything." Mira nodded. "No," she replied softly. "We reminded them who they were meant to be." Later that night, Mira stood alone on the observation deck of the Vengeance. The stars stretched endlessly before her. Beautiful and vast, she remembered the wars, the losses, the silence, and the long wait. Humanity had suffered more than any race, but they had endured. ARK-7 spoke quietly. "Captain, the Council requests a permanent alliance treaty. Do you wish to respond?" Mira smiled, her eyes still fixed on the stars. "Tell them the Terran Federation accepts," she said, "but on one condition." "What condition?" asked ARK-7. "That every world, every species, remembers this truth," Mira said softly. "Never mistake humanity's silence for its absence." The AI paused, then replied, "Condition recorded. Transmission sent." The engines of the Vengeance glowed once more, brighter than ever. Its hull reflected the golden light of a nearby star as it turned toward the edge of known space. "Where to next, Captain?" Trent asked. Mira's voice was calm, strong, and filled with purpose. "Forward," she said. "Always forward." The great ship moved, cutting through the endless dark. Behind it trailed the reborn fleets of humanity, thousands of vessels carrying hope. knowledge and unity across the stars. As the light of the vengeance faded into the distance, a single phrase echoed through every world, carried by radio waves, quantum relays, and whispers of awe. They searched the void twice, but humanity was already there, waiting. And so began the new age. The age of remembrance, the age of peace. The age of the new dawn,